Well, now we come to our presentation by none other than Brittany Dwyer, and it's a great pleasure to introduce Brittany, not only because she's a local gal who continues to share her talents with our special county here, but also because myself and Catherine Trainer, as well as other community members, started years ago the First Thursday Education Support Group that gave birth to both Headwaters and to the Starfish Mentoring Program. So I have a long-time connection to these wonderful programs. So Brittany began her journey in the nonprofit world in 2011 at the Headwaters Foundation as a 16-year-old high school intern. Her internship ran slightly longer than expected, and she ended up at Headwaters for nearly 5 years, eventually becoming their executive assistant. After leaving Headwaters in 2016, Brittany worked for other nonprofits, including the Northern Piedmont Community Foundation and the Mental Health Association of Fauquier County. Through her various roles, she developed a passion for working with young people and implementing youth programs in school and community settings. She graduated from George Mason University with a Bachelor of Social Work degree and completed a Master of Social Work degree in 2020 at the University of Southern California, where she specialized in working with children, youth, and families. Brittany is a lifelong resident of Rappahannock County and worked her way through the local educational system, beginning with CCLC in the 90s and ending with the high school in 2013. So welcome again to Brittany Dwyer.
Thank you, Ellen. I was so thrilled to be welcomed here this morning to talk with all of you. Some of you I know, some I haven't met. And some of you I know are supporters of the Headwaters Foundation. So thank you on behalf of our team here. Ellen was really wonderful to invite me here this morning to talk to you a little bit about Headwaters sort of as an organization, and then sort of diving more deeply into the Starfish Mentoring Program, which I know Ellen just was really, really passionate about. And the whole reason Starfish is here is partially because of her. And I think Miss Barbara Adolfi was involved in that in the early stages as well. And it's kind of funny we're talking about mentoring because Barbara was one of my mentors who encouraged me to go into social work. So it all comes full circle sometimes. But just a little bit about the Headwaters Foundation for those of you who may not know a lot about who we are. So Headwaters was created in 1997 by a group of public school parents to support the school system in ways that were really meaningful, whether that was with programs or funding, because they realized that a lot of the things teachers and students may want to pursue would not be possible with the current budget that was available to them. Schools are just historically underfunded. And so they wanted to have an avenue for teachers and students to be able to pursue educational enrichment sorts of activities. And hopefully the community could support that. And so Headwaters was created back in 1997, and our mission is to foster educational excellence in Rappahannock County. And so it's a very broad mission. We don't just serve the public schools, but that's our primary collaborator. Our primary focus is serving the public school children. And over the last few years, we've really placed a little bit larger of a focus on serving all of the children in Rappahannock County. Given that we're so small, we realize that we just need to help as many kids as we possibly can in this community. And so we've been working hard to do that. And we accomplish our mission through 6 core programs. So we have our after school enrichment program, which runs at Rappahannock County Elementary School 3 days per week. We provide students with a healthy snack and homework help and enriching activities that they can take part in after the school day ends. We know that children who are engaged after school are more likely to have better school attendance and just better outcomes in general for their life. And so we really feel passionate about our after school program. And this year, our enrollment has risen by about 40%, which is pretty crazy. So we're serving more and more kids through that. We also have our college and career access program. We also place a heavy focus on getting children ready to go on to the next step in their life, whether that's enrollment into a 2-year or 4-year university, whether that's pursuing trade school, entering a career, or entering the military. So we work a lot with Rappahannock County High School to make that happen. And we also offer scholarships. It sort of blows my mind that in the last 18 months, we've given out over $200,000 in scholarships to graduating seniors and students who are still in college. And it's a testament to our community. It's a testament to the people who contribute to our organization and make that happen. So we're really grateful for everyone who can work with us to support these students as they take the next step in their journey. We also provide grants to teachers. We have educational enrichment grants. Like I said earlier, the school budgets are just sometimes really they don't allow teachers to be able to be creative with what they want to do. And so that's where we come in, and we allow teachers to submit grant applications to us, and they can get funding for those materials or projects that may otherwise go underfunded in their classroom. So we've been able to help them with a lot of different activities, ranging from a Spanish culinary workshop to a Shakespeare troupe coming in to teach students about iambic pentameter and all these other things, which is pretty neat. So I'm looking forward to more grant applications this year. I know a couple teachers are working on other things too. And we have our early intervention reading program called READ. And so we work with kindergarten through second graders to be able to bring their reading scores up and be able to identify things like sight words and help them learn how to read better, because we know that's going to impact them throughout the rest of their lives. That's currently stalled right now due to the pandemic, but we're hoping to bring that back in the early part of 2022. We have our summer chorus program, which runs for 2 weeks in the summer, teaches students all kinds of choral techniques and working together as a group to be able to achieve the mission of singing as a choral ensemble, which has been a growing program that we bring in people actually from different counties, students from different counties to sing with kids in our county. So it's been a great experience for those participants as well. But the reason I'm here today is to dive a little bit deeper into one of our other programs, which is the Starfish Mentoring Program. This has a special place in my heart. Before I became the executive director of Headwaters, I worked as the program director of the Starfish Mentoring Program for a year and absolutely loved it. This was Headwaters' first program that they implemented, and it is based off of a one-on-one mentoring model. So we train wonderful, amazing community members with a caring heart and pair them with a child who is in need of an additional supportive adult. And so our central mission is to provide that one-on-one mentoring support. And we hope that through this support, through guidance and support and information sharing and encouragement, young people will be able to unleash their potential that we know they have. And that they'll be able to cultivate healthy relationships, not just necessarily with their mentor, but with the community members, with their peers, and ultimately with themselves. We want young people to have healthy relationships across the board. And so our goal is to pair every young person in Rappahannock County who needs mentoring with a trained and caring adult mentor. And so a lot of the values of this program actually intersect with a lot of the beliefs of your congregation. We really believe in the inherent dignity and worth of every person. We believe in justice and equity and compassion in our human relationships. And that's sort of in a nutshell what Starfish is all about. We believe in those healthy interpersonal connections. We believe that every child should have access to someone who really cares for them and who's an additional support in their life. And so we want to connect kids to the community. We know there are so many things in Rappahannock County to take advantage of, so many things that these children may not be able to explore in the community. And so mentors can really be a vehicle to make that happen. We also believe in empowering other people, empowering our children to make healthy decisions for their lives. We believe in respecting each other. We believe in treating each other with empathy and kindness. And we believe in lifelong learning for these children. We know that if we can open their eyes to all these beautiful things that exist, that it's just going to change their entire perspective. And for a lot of them, it changes the trajectory of their whole lives. It still amazes me that in our program, we have people who are still connected with their mentors like 10 or 15 years after their mentoring relationship should have theoretically ended when they graduated from high school. They still believe strongly in connecting with their mentor. And one of our mentees told her mentor recently, she's like, I don't think I'm ever going to really let you go because you're my family now. So they still have dinners together and connect afterward, which is just a really, really wonderful thing that we can provide free of charge to our community. And so this is, like I said, our oldest program. It's been in operation for a long time, and it shows no signs of stopping. We still have more kids knocking at the door wanting mentors, and we're still training people in the community to be mentors. So it's a great program. And so when I talk about mentoring, I just want to be sure everyone knows what I'm talking about when I say the word mentor. And really what we define as a mentor is someone who is a champion or cheerleader for a young person. They're a role model. They're a person who helps that child go from point A to point B, helps them think about decisions that they're making, just provides an outlet for them to talk to someone. A mentor is a really good listener and supporter of that child and can act as an advisor or resource person when it's needed in that child's life. And a lot of our children come from loving homes. They come from parents who care about them. They come from support systems. These are creative children that we're serving, but they're children who really need help getting to that next level in their life. And so we see mentors as a really good way for that to happen for these children. And so mentors in our program have to be at least 21 years old and live in the county. They have to have reliable transportation and commit to spending at least 1 to 2 hours a week engaging with their young person that they're paired with. We require at least 6 months of participation for mentors, but we actually ask for a year if it's possible minimum, because we really do want people to engage with their young person that they're paired with. And truthfully, most people end up really loving their mentoring relationship and they want to go further beyond just 1 year. We've had mentoring pairs stay together and officially paired for 7, 8, 9 years or more. Actually, one of our staff members at the Headwaters Foundation, Sierra Chambers, she was a recipient of Starfish Mentoring when she was, I believe, in 2nd or 3rd grade. She was paired with a mentor, and she remained with her mentor all throughout elementary school, middle school, and high school. And they still connect today and text each other and talk on the phone and meet up when they can. So some mentoring relationships last much longer, but we do work with people. We do work with adults and children to figure out what works best for their particular relationship. Sometimes mentoring is not needed for years and years and years. Sometimes a child's just maybe going through a little bit of a rough patch and they just need a supportive adult for a year. And that helps them get through whatever they might be struggling with or a challenge that could be in their way. And so overall, the point of this program is to really contribute to the growth and well-being of a young person. And so we're looking for people who have that strong desire to contribute to that for young people. And so the process for becoming a mentor is actually, it can seem extensive in the beginning, but it actually is a process that's really sort of neat to work through. People fill out an application, they sit down and talk with me a little bit about why they'd want to become a mentor. We do a background and driving record check on all of our mentors. And then all of our mentors complete a 5 to 6 hour training where they learn about our program, they learn about our values, and they learn about what they can do to be the best possible mentor that they can be. Because a lot of people start out saying, I don't know if I'm like special enough to do this. I don't really know how this works. I didn't have any training in human services. And we tell people all the time, you don't have to have training in human services to be a great mentor. You just have to be a caring adult that's willing to show up 1 to 2 hours a week for a young person and be willing to talk to them about what's happening in their life. And I think that that's a myth out there that, one of our mentors who graduated from the program said, I just never thought I was special enough to be a mentor. I didn't think that I had enough talents or skills, which is just so funny to me because she ended up being one of the most successful mentors in our program. So it's just sort of funny how that works out. But the typical format of mentor and mentee meetings. Meetings can be hosted at the mentee's or mentor's home or somewhere in the community. We do encourage public venues just so the child gets exposed to what's available in our community and in surrounding areas. They typically meet for 1 to 2 hours each week, or whatever the length of time is needed for whatever they happen to be doing. Some of our pairs, go for a day of bowling, or they go to a park or something like that where they're hiking, and it could be a half-day activity. So we leave that up to the mentors and mentees and what works best for their schedules. And then during those meetings, usually the mentor is just checking in on the mentee's life. How's school going? What's happening at home? What's going really great in your life? What are some challenges you've experienced recently? And then a lot of them just share an activity together of some kind. When we ask one of our mentees formerly in the program what she most remembered about meeting with her mentor, she said, I just remember the times that we would just go to the park and we would walk together. We would just walk and we would talk. It wasn't necessarily doing these extravagant things, but it was just us spending quality time together and knowing that I had that outlet of someone to talk to. So those are a lot of the things, actually. That's a common theme that we hear a lot of our mentees reporting. They remember the time they spent just walking around and chatting with their mentor. And so there are a lot of myths about mentoring. A lot of people think that it's a lifelong commitment, or mentoring is only for young people who are struggling, or mentoring is going to take up all your free time. And really, mentoring is not a lifelong commitment. It can be if you want it to be, but that's certainly not the expectation of this program. We think of mentoring as a relationship you can build with a child, whether it's for 6 months, 1 year, or 10 years. Or anything in between. And so, we certainly do want people to commit to mentoring for at least 6 months. We encourage 1 year, but we realize that some children may not necessarily need a mentor for an extended period of time. We're moving away more from when our program was established, we didn't have a lot of mental health supports in this community. We're very fortunate that that's changing a little bit now. We're still lacking in the mental health support, but we are nowhere near as bad as we used to be for not having people in this community to help care for people. So we have some more connections now, especially within the school system for young people who are experiencing really severe challenges. So in this program, we're not accepting children who may be, really needing mental health intervention or things of that nature. We welcome those children if they are in a structured counseling group or with a therapist once they're stabilized, but we're really more moving away from that and accepting children instead who are stabilized and children who are just maybe sort of struggling with peer interventions, or children who are having some minor behavioral issues, or children whose parents are going through a divorce or may not, some parents just don't have transportation and may not have access to take their children to different things in the community. We find more often than not that we're serving children who are from single parent households. And so a mentor can really be a great supportive adult in that child's life if mom or dad isn't necessarily in the home. And so again, mentoring is not just for youth who are struggling. I am amazed by these kids. We just did our group activity to the Royal Family Bowling Center, and we brought all the kids and all the mentors together, and we had a day of bowling. And these kids are bright and they're creative and they're funny, and I love engaging with them because they always have something new to tell me about what's happening in their life. They're optimistic. These kids are really, really fun to be around. And I can tell that their mentors are really making an impact in their life. So like I said, we're not just for youth who are struggling, we're for youth who need to take that next step in their journey, and mentors are becoming a critical part of that for them. You certainly don't need to be an expert to be a mentor. We provide you the training and consultation and support that you need to be able to work with a young person. We work with you to do different activities. And so no one's left alone in our program to just figure it out. And there's one more myth. People think sometimes that the mentee is the only person who benefits from the relationship. And I would say 9 times out of 10, the mentors benefit more than the kids, because the little kids are teaching you something about yourself or about life. And it's just really heartwarming to see how much the kids have changed their mentors' perspective. So November will be kind of cool. If you're on social media, you need to follow Headwaters, because this month is Thank Your Mentee Month. So we're taking pictures of our mentors holding up signs about what they're most thankful for when it comes to their mentee. So that'll be hitting social media in the next week, which I think will be a lot of fun to see how children have changed their mentors' lives. And so just sort of in closing, a lot of people ask, why mentoring? Why now? Why is it important to have mentoring in Rappahannock County? And there are so many different reasons for that. But really, mentoring fulfills a need for young people who need extra support, who are struggling to reach their next level, who want to set goals and work toward them, but maybe don't know how to make that happen. They need someone that can help encourage them to think outside the box, help them, get from point A to point B. Mentoring fulfills a need for young people who want to build stronger relationships with their peers, with their parents, with their community, with just so many different people. And also, the pandemic has really affected so many of our kids in this county. Being in a rural area, it can be really hard for a lot of these children to take advantage of things as simple as going to a movie or playing golf, or things like that are in DC, like the Kennedy Center, the museums. A lot of those things really aren't possible for our children to get to without having caring adults in their lives. I think back to when I was 16 years old, I was working for Headwaters, and I had no thoughts of going to college. And my boss at the time, Miss Jane Bowling Wilson, if anyone knows her, she said, have you ever thought about just, going to a college and just looking around and thinking about it? And I said, no, not really. I don't think my parents will take me. They haven't been to college. They don't understand anything about that. And she said, well, what if I drove you? Would you be willing to go if I drove you? And I said, of course. She said, pick a college and we'll drive there. And we did. And that ended up being the college that I went to. That ended up being the thing that changed my life. And it ended up being the reason I pursued social work as a career. And it ended up being the reason that I was, able to go get my master's degree and come back to this county and live here. So little small things like that can actually change a whole life of a child. And my story is not necessarily unique. I heard from another mentor who mentored his child from elementary school all the way through high school. And his mentee really struggled when he got into adulthood. He was incarcerated. He had a really hard time. And he said, the coolest thing is after he got released, one of his friends passed away. And he said his friend had a son. And now, that has been one of the biggest reasons to keep my former mentee on the path to success in life, was because he wanted to be a mentor for that friend's child, so that child would not have to grow up without a male figure in his life. And it's been one of the reasons that his former mentee has been able to stay on the right path after getting released from incarceration. And so it's funny how all of this really does come full circle for so many mentoring pairs that we have. And so I tell you all this because this is a wonderful program that we're really happy to have. It's free of charge for the families. All of our mentors are volunteers from the community who just care about kids and want to make a difference. And we certainly encourage that and want to support that in any way we can. And so, if you all are interested in mentoring, if you want to learn more about it, or if you know a person who would be an awesome candidate, please send them our way. Or if you know of a young person in this community who's really in need of a mentor, please reach out to me, because I am happy to work with you to make sure that child has access to a supportive adult, because it really does end up being one of the most powerful factors in whether a child is able to be successful in adulthood and feel connected and grounded to the people around them.